when another character comes in out of nowhere, kills your favorite character, and then you are forced to play that character not just once, but for 10 fucking hours. 10 hours we are playing this character. The character that killed our favorite character. Get fucked. Okay, as you can see, things get pretty heated in this video, mainly because I'm so passionate about this game. Yes, I'm editing the video you're about to watch. I wanted to come in here and say, if you do get the time and the chance, please leave a comment and let me know what you think about the game. I think it's so important as a community of gamers, as a community on YouTube. I want to be able to discuss with you guys what you think of the game. It's a long video, this one, I know, but it's a really raw review. And it's really how I feel about the game. And like I said, there are several times in this video where I'm going to get very passionate. But I also offer a fix to the game. But anyway, leaving it to you guys. Enjoy the video. I'll talk to you guys later. Welcome guys to my raw review / discussion on The Last of Us Part 2. Now before I continue, I want to briefly explain what I mean by raw review. What I mean by that is that this whole review is not scripted. I don't have a script to read from. I don't have... it's not high production. Also, I downloaded literally an app on my phone called Daybook. I don't know if you can see that. I'll try and focus it just there. And in this app, I literally just have a series of pros and cons. They're literally bullet points. There's nothing more than bullet points on this. And I'm just going to speak to you about things I loved about the game, things I didn't like about the game, and how I would fix the game. So the first thing I wanted to start this raw review off with is this game. It had a lot to do for me. What I mean by that is the first game had such a perfect ending. I love that game so much, and it was definitely, to me, a 10 out of 10. So the biggest thing that The Last of Us Part 2 had to do was try to convince me that it was needed. Because at the end of the first part, I really felt like we didn't need a sequel. And I felt like if that's when Naughty Dog wanted to end the series, then I would be so happy about that. But when they announced that there was a part 2, not only was I really excited because the idea of being able to come back into this world was so exciting and exhilarating, but I needed them to really hammer to me in my own head that this game, there was a reason for it being here. So with that said, let's go into the things I enjoyed about the game. I absolutely loved the graphics in this game. I don't think I've seen anyone really debate that. This is definitely one of the games that have really pushed the PlayStation 4 to its full potential. It is visually stunning. I think everything in this game is beautiful. It's done so well. So 10 out of 10 for gameplay, for graphics for me. I think they did beautifully. The other thing I wanted to mention is their gameplay mechanics. I think The Last of Us Part 2, and this is my personal opinion, I think it was great. I enjoyed the gameplay. I enjoyed their stealth mechanics. I enjoyed the idea of being able to either stealth it or run and gun. But I also like the idea of them adding the ability for Ellie to jump and the ability to Ellie to hide in grass, to go prone. That opens up a whole different avenue in terms of gameplay that I really felt during this game. Did the mechanics get used to its full potential? No, I don't think so. I think they could have really utilized the jump mechanic of Ellie a lot more. But still, the fact that it was there, I think they did beautifully with the gameplay. It was similar enough to the first one, which I enjoyed. But also, it was innovative enough for me to feel like this was fresh. And I could tell they worked hard on it. So in terms of graphics and gameplay in this game, loved it so much. I think I hit it out of the park, to be honest. There's 2 relationships in general in this game that I liked. Now, I can understand that maybe this was a controversial thing in the sense that not everyone would have enjoyed these relationships, but I really enjoyed Ellie and Dina. I felt like their relationship was genuine. I felt like I could sense how much they cared and loved for each other. It was just convincing. Also, this idea that people, and I've heard this even before the game came out, that this sort of social justice warrior propaganda has been forced down our throat. These gay, lesbian characters are just put in front of us and we just have to accept it. That whole argument to me couldn't be more further from the truth, because not only did Naughty Dog in this game tackle the LGBT plus community, but they also tackled this idea, which, sorry, it's actually also part of that community, this idea of having a trans character. Lev, who was previously Lily, who transitioned to Lev, was done so well in this game. What I mean by that is First off, when I first saw Liv, I didn't actually even think or recognize that that was happening, that was what the story was behind Liv. So I never felt forced. When Abby started questioning, or why is it that the Xerophytes are chasing you? What have you done? And then he says, I shaved my hair. Immediately, to some people, you're gonna think, okay, what have they got against shaving hair? So they build the story up really slowly and good, and that's why I don't feel like it was forced in my face. And at the end of it, you find out that he was kicked out of the group, pretty much. He was cast out by this group because he was previously Lily. He was previously a girl. He didn't feel comfortable in that skin and wanted to transition to a man, to a boy in the sense, and become Liv. The fact that that wasn't forced down my throat was beautiful. I loved it. And I think, I hope most people feel like that. I'll just say personally, I don't have a problem with any of that. And I loved how they did it. Naughty Dog did so well with that. Which, to the point I was trying to make, I loved Ellie and Dina's relationship. I thought it was beautiful. And surprisingly, I really enjoyed Abby and Liv's relationship. Now, personally, Liv on their own, I didn't enjoy a hell of a lot. I didn't find that Liv was that interesting to me. However, when coupled with Abby, I think that relationship works really well, primarily because they're from two different worlds. What I mean by that is that when those two characters are juxtaposed next to each other, compared, in other words, I think they become interesting. For a good example is Liv is not up to date with like social cues and terms that people use, like they use the word cool, that he doesn't know what that is and how that is used. The fact that Abby's more up to the times, if you like, with the terminology. I feel like that sort of relationship together works really well. And I feel like Liv grounds Abby a lot more. So that's all I want to say about it. Abby and Liv's relationship, I loved. Ellie and Dina's relationship, I also loved. So these last couple of points I've got here in the positives column, they're really concepts, basically. And I think these two things are really interesting to talk about. The first one is that several times during this game, the game made me feel like I don't want to play it. Like there were times that I just didn't want to play this game. And I still don't know, sitting here thinking about it, whether it was a good thing or a bad thing. What I will say is not many games make me want to put down the controller. And that's honestly, in some ways, so interesting and so compelling that the fact, and I'm not just talking about when we play as Abby, I'm talking about like just in general, like with killing dogs, like having the option to kill dogs when you have enemies around. I didn't like killing the animals. I hated it. I hated nothing more in this game than killing animals. However, when I had to because I was spotted, it made me not want to play. And I think that's so interesting. And I feel like they nailed, if that was what they were going for, they actually nailed it. But I can also see the other side of the coin where that might be a negative. The last thing I just wanted to touch on here that was really brilliant in the game is how good Naughty Dog is about world building. What I mean by that is that this world that we're in, they do so well at convincing me that this world has been lived in and that it's realistic. What I mean is that when you walk into a building, everything feels used. You feel the history of people that were in there. You feel like someone really lived here at some point and someone's been through here, scavenged through here, ravaged through here. And I feel like that's so powerful, how convincing they can make their world. Another device that they used in this game, and they used in the first game to really sell and hit home that this world is so realistic, is the idea of notes that they leave around. When you walk around and you see those notes, someone's saying, oh, I had to kill myself because I'm infected, or I had to kill all my family because we're running out of food or stuff. Those notes, all of that together makes this world feel so abundant. It makes it feel so populated. I think the word is that I'm looking for. It feels populated and it feels realistic, and I love that so much. So that's one thing. And the last thing I want to hit home with, which we'll get into later too, is that one of the best things about this game, and unfortunately we didn't get enough of it, is the Ellie and Joel scenes. God damn, we needed more of it. There wasn't enough Ellie and Joel scenes, and I really wish they had bloody made more scenes with those two, because that's what I'm here for. I love that relationship. I love that dynamic. It's my favorite thing about this game, and we didn't get enough of it. But what we did get, I think, was beautiful. The first scene where we see Joel and Ellie together after his death scene, which is the one where Joel is surprising her for her birthday, taking her to the museum. That whole sequence was magic, beautiful, loved it. Not enough of it. Okay, on to the things I didn't like. Now, I actually have a reasonably long list here, but what I want to do is I want to tackle, there are three big things. Like, if I had to summarize all the things I didn't like, there were three main things. Primarily, it's the story, but I didn't like Abby. I didn't like the whole second half of the game when we have to play as her. I didn't feel like the ending was done anywhere near good, and I didn't like the treatment of Joel in the death scene. I think those things, at the heart of it, is everything I hate about the game. There are little things like the supporting characters I didn't feel attached to. Who do we have? Jesse, Owen, Mel, Nora, Yara. Those characters, truthfully, didn't give a shit about. I really didn't. So I feel like there's a missed opportunity in terms of the supporting characters. I feel like they didn't do well enough to make me really feel for them, especially when some of them died. I was just like, oh, that kind of sucks. But that's it. I didn't feel any emotion, especially when Jesse died, when Yara died, when Owen and Mel died. I didn't care enough. But there's not a minor thing, but that's something that they really stuffed up on. But what I really want to discuss here is this whole Abby section of the game. I don't get what they were doing. I really don't. Because the thing is, when you start the game, right, you admit in the first 2 hours, Joel's death scene happens. Okay? Now, I've had a time to ponder over Joel's death scene, and although it's quite brutal in terms of the golf club and him just being demolished with it by Abby, that's actually not what I have a problem with the most. And I know some of you do, but not for me. The most problematic thing, the most disrespectful thing in the whole of Joel's death scene that just will never sit well with me no matter what anyone says is the dickhead Manny who bloody spits on Joel's corpse. First off, there's no reason for that. I mean, he killed Abby's dad. He didn't fucking murder the whole of humanity. Well, I guess you can actually argue that. He did sort of doom humanity. But even still, there's something that just really pissed me off about that, spitting on Joel's corpse. And the fact that the game makes you relive that scene twice, and from a different perspective, from Abby's perspective, where you can actually see Manny full on spit on Joel's corpse, man, I pissed me the hell off. It really did. I just think it's such a disrespect to the character that's Joel, and I feel like it shouldn't have happened. The whole problem I have with Abby, and this is probably what most people have a problem with, is that we're introduced to her character as the murderer of Joel, as the person that killed Joel. Now, if you are like me, and I think many of you are, and Joel is probably your favorite character in this game, when another character comes in out of nowhere, kills your favorite character, and then you are forced to play that character not just once, but for 10 fucking hours. 10 hours we are playing this character. The character that killed our favorite character. Get fucked, is what I say to that. Fuck off that you're making us do that. And the reality is they do that. And that's where they fucked up. They introduce Ellie by killing Joel and then expect us to try and sympathize and work out why it is that she kills Joel and her motivations behind it. The truth is, mate, you killed Joel. I don't give a fuck what he did. Excuse my language, this really riles me up. I don't. I couldn't care less because you've already killed him in such a brutal way that any attempt to make me try and reason why it is Abby kills him, it just doesn't work for me. Although I get her reason and it's legitimate. He kills her dad in the end of the first game to save Ellie. But it doesn't matter at that point because most of us are so riled up at the fact that she's killed Joel in such a brutal way. We are left to not enjoy Abby as a character. And that is where Naughty Dog really, really effed up. The thing that pisses me off the most about Abby's character is that she's actually, when you really think about it, there is actually a lot of character development in her. There is a lot of development in terms of her storyline, in terms of her motivations. She's actually fleshed out quite reasonably well. And if I be honest, they did well with her character in terms of trying to make us work out why it is that she does what she does. The problem is that when you kill off our favourite character to begin with, we've already shut off that part of our head now. We don't even care what journey she's going through now. All we want to do is get back to Ellie and kill the bitch. And that's the problem. Because killing Joel at the beginning of the game did so much bad, in my opinion. It didn't... Okay, here's the first thing it did. It makes me not even properly invest myself in Abby as a character and Abby's entire storyline and the supporting characters around her. I hated them all. I didn't like her storyline. I didn't like her. And that's because we see Joel's death at the beginning. And that's shit, because I would have liked to enjoyed her more, because some people were able to do that. And I think, like, I seen an opinion actually a couple of days ago of this woman that didn't like Joel at all. She didn't really get him as a character. So when it came to his death, she didn't care as much. And because of that, she was able to really get into the character of Abby, which I found so incredibly interesting. Because I feel like what really stops us from connecting with Abby is Joel's death. If you remove that, I think we would be able to go along the ride with Abby a lot more. But certainly not for 10 to 15 fucking hours of the game. Joel's death is at the beginning of the game is probably, in my eyes, one of the biggest colossal F-ups. I accept that Joel was going to die in this game. I think most of us did. I think it seemed like a natural progression for the storyline, for Ellie, for everything involved. But to put it at the beginning and at the way they did it, they really stuffed that up. So I want to pose, have a listen to my idea, right? I know a lot of you are still not going to like the game, but just imagine Naughty Dog did this. We start The Last of Us Part 2 like it did start, with Ellie and Joel, right? Maybe you start it when they're a little bit younger. So when Ellie's, like, you know how they were doing the flashbacks to 4 years, 3 years? How about we just make that we live in those moments, don't go back in the past, and we progress through the story as Ellie gets older? Because what this game lacks is the struggle that both Ellie and Joel had to go through with the decision that Joel makes at the end of the first game, which is arguably the most compelling part of the entire world. Is the idea that Joel to risk the whole safety of humanity, a cure for everyone, because of the love and care he has for Ellie, which is so compelling to me. But they just don't tackle it on this game. So let's imagine that they start the game, actually let's play 80% of the game, right? Where we are playing as Ellie and Joel as they go through this world and having to struggle with that idea of what decision and the ramifications that come with that, of the decision that Joel made, right? Now, for the other 20% of the game, let's say maybe 2 to 3 hours max, every now and then we cut over to playing as Abby. By the way, not 10 hours, not 15 hours, 2 to 3 hours. That's important, right? Because she's a character we don't know. So let's say we play her and we start her story exactly where it starts off in this game. Nothing different. We see her with her dad. We develop that a little bit more. We see her, like you see now on the screen, interacting with her people, right? Because if you do that, we have no reason to hate this woman to begin with. If you don't give us that traumatizing event at the beginning, we can get past that and we can learn to get involved in Abby as a character. We can learn what world she is involved in. And what you do in this game is you have these two stories parallel to each other, right? At the end of the game is where you intersect it. Imagine at the end of the game having that realization like, oh shit, Abby's the daughter of the father that Joel killed, right? And then you have Joel's death at near the end of the game. I 100% bet you way more people would be more empathetic, more sympathetic for Abby if you do it that way. If you have us not know that Joel's going to die and not know who Abby is in relation to Joel at the beginning, and over the course of the story, we learn who they are and how they are how they link together. And at the end of it, they have that scene again without the spitting and maybe not so brutal. But again, if they want to go down the brutality line, that's fine. But the spitting was way out of line for me. And that to me fixes this game so much. All of a sudden, the people that are saying this game is a 5 out of 10, I think at least go up to a 7 out of 10, maybe even 8, maybe higher. Shorten the time we play as Abby. Take out Joel's death, put it at the end. Let us learn who Abby is and learn the world that she's involved with. let those stories collide at the end. I bet you that goes off way better than what Naughty Dog has done here. We are robbed in this game of Ellie and Joel. We really are. These are the characters that built this world, right? We are robbed of their moments. We have it so rarely in this game. Yes, there are the moments we do get are utterly beautiful, but we're robbed of like the reconciliation and the forgiveness that Ellie was trying to do and have for Joel. At the end of this whole game, the last scene is Ellie saying, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to forgive you, Joel, but you know what? I'm going to try. And that's it. As a viewers, that's all we get. That whole complicated and beautiful plot of the first game summarized into Ellie saying, you know what, I might try and forgive you. What the hell? That is such an interesting part of the story and you're missing it. We are all missing it. Instead, we're asked to care about a character that we don't give a shit about. But to make us give a shit about it, you make us play this character for 10 to 15 hours. How was that a smart idea? But I can't excuse the shit show that is the pacing, the story, just the way the story works in this game. Instead of doing what I recommended, this is what Naughty Dog did. They have the death at the beginning, right? They make us play Ellie. By the way, they make us play past Ellie 4 years ago, then they go back to present Ellie 3 years ago, present Ellie, then we go to Abby 4 years ago, then we go back to Abby 3 years ago, Abby present, back to Ellie. The pacing of the story is so complicated and convoluted. It's not enjoyable. It's everywhere. Given everything I've said, and I don't want it to be forgotten that this is a technical marvel. This game has done so well in so many aspects. My rating out of a 10 on this game, and I think this has been generous, is probably a 7 out of 10, truthfully. I think the worst parts of the game I would give a 5 out of 10. The best, which is the story, the best parts I would give the game is the graphics and the gameplay mechanics, which is a 10 out of 10 to me. So averaging everything, I would say it's about a 7 out of 10. If I really be honest and consider everything that was in this game. And I do love and appreciate how ambitious they were trying to be, even though I think it failed. 7 out of 10 is where I land on this game. What do you rate this game out of 10? But let me know honestly what you thought about this game. And be honest. Don't look at people's negative views, positive reviews, and just regurgitate it. Think for yourself. Tell me what you think. Literally, I didn't look at a single review until I wrote this. I wrote these bullet points after I played the game on stream. I didn't want to be influenced by anyone else's thoughts, decisions. I jotted it down, and then I did look at other people's reviews after that just to see what people were saying, and then I came and made this raw review. I hope you enjoy, guys. Thank you so much for sitting here. If you did last to the end, thank you so much, and I'll see you back on the channel in the next video. See you later, guys.